Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, Climbinator 1978 or 1978, whichever way you want to pronounce it. Oh boy, we're here, aren't we? Well, I've just got back from my screening of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the Disney remake of 2025, and yeah. I know I said on my YouTube post I was not going to sit through the entire movie. I was going to leave after she eats the apple. But you know what? I thought it would be unfair to all you YouTubers out there who have sat through the entire movie and watched this train wreck. So therefore, I sat through the entire film myself, and God's sake, this movie blows chunks of horse crap. God's sake. I mean, we've all heard the controversies about the main star, Rachel Zegler, whatever her name is. And we've also heard the other controversies regarding the castings of the dwarves, where a certain dwarf actor who apparently is not in the film, Peter Dinklage, as far as I'm aware, he kicked off saying that if you call dwarfs, you are labelling them. So therefore Disney felt that they had to get full-grown adults to play the dwarfs. And yeah, Rachel Zegler was also sounding off with her political agenda going on, and she said how much she disliked the original. Well, you know, there's only one reason why she stayed, I think, in this film, and that was what you're seeing on screen now. Yeah. Too much money and too big a gob. Because when you work for a work company, no matter how much you dislike their views, you do not disrespect what the company represents if you want to continue working for them. But no, it was obviously the money that, you know, was keeping her in the role, from what I can see. This is just my opinion. Don't take it as gospel. But anyway, yes, I've sat through the movie, and I'm going to tell you now, judging it on its merit as a film, it is terrible. It is awful. Which probably doesn't sound unusual coming from me on my little channel, but I've seen the original on the big screen back when it was re-released in the 1990s. And that made me fall in love with the story of Snow White. And that was the Disney portrayal of Snow White, the 1937 original, when it was re-released in 1994. But the thing is, this version of Snow White, forget everything Zegler said in her interviews, because she does not become a strong female leader. Nope. And there is a Prince Charming type of character in the film. He is not actually called Prince Charming. I am going to go into spoiler territory here, so be warned. If you're still going to go and see the film and want to avoid spoilers, do not watch this video. But there is a Prince Charming type of character who does kiss her on the side lips, cheek area, which, you know, I know there's been much debate about her being kissed on the lips in this version, and most of it I think was coming from Zegler in interviews, But yeah, this is an image now of what Jonathan's friends look like in the film. These were apparently, according to early filming footage, the following. They were originally going to be the dwarfs. This movie was doomed from the start. Yep. Doing well, Disney, with these remakes. Now, I saw the remake of Beauty and the Beast on the big screen about 7-8 years ago. And actually, that's a pretty solid remake. Except for Emma Watson from Harry Potter. God damn it, she can't sing. But she was actually pretty solid as Belle, acting-wise. Here it's the reverse. Rachel Zegler can sing, but she can't act. Which is why when Jonathan turns up, the chemistry between these two is like the chemistry between a man and a broom. Seriously. Jonathan is actually more of a relatable character than Snow White is in this entire movie. And Jonathan has no personality at all. No personality. That kind of tells you something about Snow White in this movie. Whereas in the original film, we see Snow White go from being an orphan princess who is treated like a slave to going out into the woods where she's almost killed by the woodsman. She's taken in by the dwarfs, and then, of course, the witch, the queen finds out and tracks her down and becomes the old hag and uses the apple. And, of course, by the time the dwarfs get to their little home to save Snow White, they find out they're too late and the queen is skedaddled. But she's not too far. She's going up a nearby mountain when the dwarfs find her and they get into an encounter with her. But, of course, during the thunderstorm, the queen ends up falling off a cliff and she falls to her death, and we see two vultures simply going down to feed on her. That's the original cartoon. And the prince is devastated to hear about Snow White's passing, so he goes to her tomb. He kisses her because he's grieving. Yeah, he's grieving because she's dead. But the kiss of love and his emotions and grievance bring her back to life. So, yeah. That is what the kiss is all about. He's grieving. There's no creepiness about it. But, of course, you know, a certain actress in this film gets wound up about that. So, yeah, we're not going to go on about that anymore. Anyway, the chemistry between these two is thinner than a sheet of paper. It's basically this. They meet one another. They exchange pleasantries of about 2 sentences. They're in love, kind of. And they get married at the end, and that's it. Oh, and he takes a bow to the heart. He dies, but is brought back to life by Doc. Snow White dies with the apple, and he comes back to life. He kisses her on the side lip, cheek area. In an open tomb, she comes back to life, and yep, they go back to the village or the queendom that Snow White will have, where they encounter the Queen, who is the best highlight of the film. She's the only highlight, in fact. The one good thing is Gal Gadot as the Wicked Queen. She is fantastic in this role. I don't care what anyone says. I thought she was great. Because she is like watching the original version of the Queen in live action. And the person who voices the mirror, it sounds just like the original voiceover. And the scenes that they are in, which are few and far between, sadly, but the scenes they are in, I wish they made a 2-hour film out of them instead. But no, we get Snow White and Jonathan. Yep, Snow White, that's what I'm calling her. And Jonathan. This is like an alternative universe to the real Snow White. Well, not real, but you know where I'm going with this. The main timeline Snow White. Because main timeline Snow White, if she got into a pub fight with Snow White, main timeline Snow White would own Snow White. Anyway, Gal Gadot is fantastic in the role. She really puts everything into her performance. And she chews the scene up so much in her scenes. And she's actually quite intimidating in some of them. Now we come to the most creepiest part of the film. Yeah, the stuff that gives you nightmares. Yep. I just wish this movie ended when Snow White ate the apple.